Get ready to break molds and blaze trails. Welcome to the Chelsey Holm podcast, your shortcuts to wellness, business, and growth with a twist. Let's flip the script and unlock your full potential together.
Are you familiar with closing the loops? If you have an Apple Watch, which I do not, I actually am Garmin all the way, but you're familiar with closing the circles on there, right? This is something that I have heard several times now, and my coach has talked to me about. I've learned through Cardone University, but I was on an accelerator call this week, and at the end of the call, they always take questions, and this young guy got on there, and he was talking about his business where he washes like big rig semi trucks, and he said, how do I get more sales closed when what I have is an optional service? And immediately the head of sales who was teaching the call, he called him out and he said, listen, closing the sale and just ultimately building your business is 90% mindset, and you have a mindset issue here. And he went on to talk to him about belief, right? Like you have to be completely sold out for your products and what you're selling, because if you aren't, who's going to buy from you, right? Like if you're questioning yourself and what you're doing and what you're selling. But then he also brought up closing the circles. I call it closing the loops. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm a Fruit Loop. I don't know. But for some reason, this time when I heard about closing the circles, closing the loops, it really hit me. And I started taking some assessments of my own life and where am I not closing the circles? And so, okay, let me just pause there, time out. What does it mean to close the circles? It means that you do a task from start to finish each time. So the easiest way to look at this is, you know, if you have a coffee cup, which I have right here, still has coffee in it though, because I really like coffee. Like it's one of those things, like I've broken up with it a few times and, you know, it can get out of hand, but I really like coffee. Like it makes me crazier, but I love it. I just do. So don't take my coffee. Okay. Anyway, so words are hard sometimes, which is ironic when you're a podcaster, but this coffee cup, okay, for those of you watching, you get to see my coffee cup. When I'm done with it, actually, I usually just save it for the next day. So that's not really a loop. But let's say that I was going to put this in the dishwasher, right? Instead of rinsing it and putting it in the sink, which you leave the circle open, closing the circle would mean you rinse it and you immediately put it into the dishwasher, right? I think one of the things on this call that was pointed out was it was just different instances. Like they had mentioned laundry piled up in baskets, you know, like that is probably one of the biggest, most evident loops that we fail to complete. At least I know personally I do. And I've lied to myself saying like, I will never look back at my life and regret not folding that basket of laundry. But what I didn't realize was these loops that are remaining open in my life are taking my energy, and not in a good way. Because think about it. If you need something clothes-wise, you know, I was seeing this in my kids too, that like Ruthie was getting frustrated because her laundry wasn't folded and put away, and so she couldn't find her socks, and so she was spending all this energy trying to find socks, and then I would have to come help her because she couldn't find them, and she'd be frustrated, and then we would look together, and then we'd both be kind of frustrated, like, dang it, where are the socks, right? Socks are the bane of my existence. Oh, I don't know where they all go. I mean, after walking in the yard and mowing it and cleaning it, sometimes the kids just take them off outside, and it drives me crazy. But anyway, they're not closing their circles either, but how can I expect them to close their circles if I'm not closing my circles and I'm doing things that are extremely evident in my life of just laundry piled up everywhere? Or like this whole talk with this guy, like it probably lasted 90 seconds, but it hit me in such a powerful way. Like this is what happens when you get in the room, or even if it's virtual on Zoom, in the room with other people who are more successful than you, who are doing the things, who are trying to do the things, or who have done the things that you're working to do. Like it just raises your level of self-awareness, first of all. But it also has this ability to highlight and shine a spotlight on certain areas that are holding you back. And so when we have these open circles, these open loops, we're expending energy, because then, you're not able to find things, right? Like, and this is your personal life. This is how your personal life and how you show up affects your business life, because the energy that's being wasted in your personal life is taking energy from your business, right? Like, so if you're expending all this energy trying to find socks or whatever it is, or you're not setting your kids up for success in the fact that I don't know how often things escalate, and I take responsibility for this, because there are times where I feel super overwhelmed, and so then I'm not thinking clearly, and I go into more reactive mode, and then it ends up that I'm yelling at my kids and we're all frustrated and whatever, and we all say things that we don't mean, right? Like, how often have you been there? But when I step back and look at the big picture of my life, my personal life, like, am I actually setting up my family and myself for success? Oof. Like, no, because when the big fight is we all have to tidy up every single night because everything's a disaster, and we can't find things because we're not closing these loops, because how often have you like put something down in a random area and said, I'll take care of it later? Oh my gosh. Like, I do that all the time. So this was just a huge wake up call for me that, like, I need to take responsibility and ownership and stop lying to myself and living at this low energy level of, it's good enough. We'll take care of it later. Whatever. Like, I'll clean my house when I'm dead. That doesn't really make sense. But you know what I'm saying? Like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we not expending the energy up front to set the stage for success? And then watching how that impacts our ability to be able to step up, not just as moms and wives, but being able to step up into this higher energy in our business as we're building our business, right? And so, a lot of times this can be an avoiding technique of not wanting to do the things that we know we need to do in order to grow our business. However, this is something that does need to be addressed. So this is not about like, I don't want to make those calls, so I'm going to go tidy up my desk, right? Or, the garage has to be clean right this second. Like, this is a different thing where I realized, oh my gosh, like, my energy is being drained when it comes to my personal life, in our home, in our space, in all of these different ways, because I'm not closing the loops. I need to tackle this head on. And honestly, here's the thing. When we avoid doing things, it's usually because we don't know what's involved, we don't know how long it's going to take, and we don't know the amount of energy that's going to go into it, right? Like, how often, I know I have so many examples, and I've created awareness around this over the years. Like, this is the power of creating awareness around why you're doing what you're doing, right? Like, what's the thinking behind it? I have so many examples in my life in years past of like avoiding doing something, because honestly, when I thought about it, it's because I didn't know what was required of me. And in my head, it felt like it was going to take a lot longer, or it was going to be this huge ordeal. Probably one of the biggest, most embarrassing examples of this was getting fingerprinted to work in the nursery in the kids area at our church when we lived in Pennsylvania. Like, so I had to schedule an appointment to go get fingerprinted, and I put it off and put it off, and it was like awkward, because every Sunday I would see this guy at church and be like, did you get it done yet? And I'd be like, no, I'm gonna get it done, right? Like, so annoying. Like, when people do that to me, like, I get so frustrated, but I was totally doing it, and it was bringing on this level of like just shame and awkwardness. And here's the worst part of it. When I actually did the dang thing, it was so fast and so easy. Like, it literally took me maybe 2 minutes to drive to the place down the street. I literally walked in and got everything done in like 2 minutes. And I remember walking back to my car thinking, wow. Oh Oh my gosh, I am so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're listening to this podcast. As you know, I believe that if you're not growing, you're dying. So you are in the right place to continue developing your growth mindset. If you have a business and you're an entrepreneur in any capacity, but especially in the social selling world, online and social media, but you're feeling stuck. You've created some level of success, but you can't seem to get past it. You're frustrated, you're feeling burnt out, you're starting to question yourself, you don't feel like you're fully stepping into who you are and how you want to build your business, then go check out my signature course, the Speed and Stability Playbook, and you're going to get timeless principles that are going to be funneled through your strengths so that you can show up and build your business exactly like you want and not how someone is telling you to, so that you can work on the mindset of becoming the person that already has the things that you're looking to create and being able to do that and generate that through any strategy that aligns with you. Go check that out now in the show notes. Now let's get back to the episode. You seriously wasted so much time and energy avoiding that, explaining why you hadn't had it done, lying to yourself about why you didn't want to do it and you had to do other things instead, and you could have just done it. And that's where, like, you're never doing nothing. We're always doing something. So if you think, I'm not going to expend the energy to do that thing. So like take working out, for example, right? We're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like, that's going to take so much energy and effort. But guess what? You are expending energy and effort in your brain, in your thinking capacity, because you are consciously now thinking about it for like the rest of your day, right? And then you're like getting into your head of like, oh, I should have done that, right? Like, so we're never doing nothing. We're always expending some kind of energy when it comes to thinking about things, even, right? Thinking about not doing things. So the whole concept and the whole practice of closing the circles, closing your loops, is to make sure that the energy gets full cycle and then it's done and you don't have to think about it anymore. So like just doing it and getting it done, and so you can move on to the next thing, right? And so yesterday I decided enough is enough. I'm going to tackle the whole house. And I wouldn't say we have like an unusually massive house, but we definitely have a larger house. I don't know what the square footage is, but we have a bigger house because we have a big family, and we have 5 bedrooms? Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bedrooms. We have dining room, office, we have kitchen, we have living room, we have back entry, we have basement. Like we have a full-size basement down there. It's not completely finished, but you know, my gym is down there, our storage area is down there, we have a bathroom down there, Holly's room's down there, we have the utility room down there, we have an extra room down there, like where the cat stuff and more storage is. Like, so we have a pretty big footprint. Oh, and then we have the garage too, right? Which is usually Zach's domain, but he's not here. So that has now become mine. And we have the outdoors. Like I just mowed on Tuesday, which let me tell you, I'm actually so sore from that. It's so interesting because it's like for someone who works out and like is active and into fitness, like sometimes it's that the yard work of the tasks that your body's just not used to those movements, that the next day you're just like, ow, like I really feel like I didn't work that hard. Oh, and I also, if you're watching this, you can't even see it. Like I think it's so deep, but like it's so sore to touch. But I was push mowing the sides between the road and the sidewalk because the rider's just too big to get in there. We don't have like a zero turn or anything. Like it's just an old school rider. So I actually prefer to use the push mower for the sides. I want you to know too, we almost have a half acre of land. So it takes a little bit. And then the back is kind of tedious because we have like a fire pit area and we have a trampoline, which I have to like move around, and we have like a concrete kind of pad area, and then there's another area out there, and then it's like watch out for the random things that the kids drop. Anyway, so back to my arm hurting. I was push mowing and I was like on the last little strip of the side yard in between the road and the sidewalk, and I was around a tree, and I like pulled the mower back towards me, which is fine, except for there was a broken tree branch that was sticking out, and I rammed my bicep right into it. And like, you can't even see, like if you're watching, like you can't even see, like there's a tiny little cut, but I must have slammed it so hard. Like it's got to be bruised deep down because it's really, really sore. And then I accidentally let go because it hurt. And a push mower, if you let go, it turns off. And I was like, dang it. And then I needed to get more gas. Like it wouldn't start again. So I'm like, I have one little strip left. Like there was a piece of me that's like, just leave it, But because closing the loops, right? I was like, no, I'm going to finish this. And so I got the gas, and then it took me a while to start it. And then at this point, like if you've ever like started anything, it like it's like takes some muscles that you're not used to using. And so anyways, I got it done. And I don't know why I was telling you this story, but again, it was another example of closing loops before I knew that I really needed to close the loops. And then like I did the edging, and then I got like the leaf blower out, which that was more of the like yanking to get it started, which I finally did get it started. But like, oh, I know, all of that was to say that like I have a large footprint that I am responsible for. And there's been a lot where it's like, oh, we have 5 kids, like whatever, like it's good enough. I used to be extremely neat and tidy. And I actually perform better in an area that is neat and tidy and not cluttered, because my mind is cluttered enough. So I need like a tidy space to work in. And it's just for so long I've been saying, well, whatever, it's good enough. But when I actually stepped back to look at closing the circles and look at my life of where this is impacting the way that I'm showing up in business and showing up for my kids and all the things, like I wasn't setting the stage for success for all of us. And, it is a large footprint, but honestly, like yesterday I started in the morning. And this is probably like the biggest area where we all hang out, where there is a lot of stuff because it has my desk, it has our art area, it has, some toys back there. If you're watching this in the video, you can see like that is getting ready to go upstairs. I don't want any toys on the main level so that there's like nothing to clean up down here because of that. The bookshelf over there, my coffee area. I mean, you can see that over there. So like, yeah. And then we have the piano and just all kinds of stuff down here. And I also did like the shoe area back there. So like I did like all the main living spaces except for the living room and the entry. That's what I'm going to do today. Today I actually started tackling some of my junk drawers. So I don't know if you're in the Midwest, you know what a junk drawer is. We have a lot of them. We don't just have one. They've all somehow turned into junk drawers and disorganized. So I actually tackled 3 this morning, and it probably took me like, honestly, 10 minutes or less to do all 3 of those. And then there's 2 more big ones that I want to do. And then so it's just like setting the stage, getting rid of excess and clutter so that everything runs smoothly, so that we're not wasting energy and expending energy in stupid areas, honestly, so that we have the kind of energy we want to show up for each other and then out into our business, into school and relationships and those kinds of things. So my challenge to you is to take an assessment of your life. Where are you leaving circles open? Where have you not closed the loop? It could be unpaid parking tickets. It could be putting things off, procrastinating. It could be piles of laundry, which is a physical representation of not closing the cycle. Speaking of, I need to go switch my laundry over to the dryer, and continue that loop, right? And what do you need to do? How are you seeing these areas of frustration mount up and then spill over into other areas? How are you seeing your energy being depleted on stupid things so that then, you are compelled to tidy your desk up before you make those calls instead of showing up into your workspace and making the calls because your energy is there because you haven't depleted it and wasted it on stupid things. And, it's a challenge to show up real in your business when on authenticity, like that's really important for me. Authenticity is really important for me. But when I have this chaos that I'm just accepting in my life is there lingering in my house, and I'm allowing that creates a disconnect in how I want to show up in my business. Like I want to be the best and always working on myself and creating this awareness around things and then taking action to make adjustments where I need adjustments. And it feels out of alignment for me to ask that of other people when I have these areas in my life. But you can't change what you don't know. And so that's where this call was so powerful for me, because it made me step back and say, oh, snap. Wow, like there are a lot of things that I'm just allowing to just be good enough when like I'm done with that, and I'm going to take 3 days here. So I've got the rest of today. My mom's coming, but I've got the rest of today until practices start this afternoon to tackle these other areas. And honestly, I shouldn't have any problem getting the whole house done, because we've done other areas. Like Zach and I, before he left, we did do the basement. It needs some touch up. You know, we need to go through some winter clothes and get rid of stuff that's too small. That is probably one of the biggest challenges with 5 kids. No, it's not. But it is a challenge, like to make sure clothes are getting rotated out that don't fit anymore, that are taking up space as new clothes come in. And, you know, otherwise it just builds up. And the good thing is, after Ruth and Bo outgrow, we can get rid of them because we don't have other kids that we're passing them down to. So whereas before, when we had 3 kids in 3 years, we kept all the clothes because we were passing them down. And actually, when we were in California, we probably like I gave away, it was like 9 bins, like full-size bins of clothes to this. I think she was pregnant with her first, like. And I think it was like all the girl clothes. I said, here's trash bags, like just fill it up. And like she took it, and that was like so freeing. Like there is something so freeing in decluttering your life and simplifying it and knowing where everything is and not having excess of things. I mean, how often have you bought something new just because you couldn't find what you're looking for, right? Just to come to find out that, oh, I found a little later and now I have 2 of them, and then you keep them. Why? I don't know, right? And so it's things like that, like just having this ability to self-diagnose when it comes to your life and not closing the loop. So what is something that you need to work on closing the loop today? And if you're like me, and you know you're in the middle of a project where yesterday this whole room was full, the whole floor was full, because that's how I work. I take everything out and then I organize and sort and get rid of stuff, throw away trash. I think I took out like 3 bags of trash yesterday. It was just crazy, like just crazy. But then you get to a point where you're like, ooh, I'm starting to get tired. My energy is waning. Like I don't want to stop now because that's leaving that loop open, right? Like, and then how often do you just not come back to it, and then you further perpetuate the situation? So in those moments when I was feeling like, oh my gosh, like what have I done? Why did I do this? Like I reminded myself, close the loop, close the loop, close the loop. And I just kept telling myself that over and over and over. And I didn't even do this yesterday, listening to anything, watching anything, no music, nothing. I just did it. And I kept pushing through. And I'm going to do it again today with the rest of the house. And I am setting up my family for success. I'm setting up myself for success. I am going to model closing the loops for my kids, because I know that they're starting to pick that up, like leaving things open, like not putting stuff away. And then we get into that cycle of now the bus is coming and you can't find your shoes because you didn't take them off where they go. You have no idea where they are, right? Like we're going to eliminate that because there's going to be less. It's going to be organized and everything has a place, right? And if it doesn't have a place, get rid of it because I don't want it. I don't need it. So if you think you're going to give me a bunch of crap, don't, because I'm going to get rid of it. I have a 0 tolerance for that now. So yeah, I hope you guys found this encouraging. I hope also that you understand, again, this comes down to what's going on between your ears. And so much of that is subconscious. You're not even thinking about it, right? You're not even thinking about it. And listening to a podcast like this is going to help you to create awareness around what's going on between your ears so that you can address it and you can change what isn't serving you. You can identify what isn't serving you. And then you can create new thoughts based on what it is that you actually want, how you actually want to expend your energy, how you want to set the stage and model for your kids or for your family or for your friends around you, whoever, for yourself, right? Because people are going to do what they see. They're not going to do what you say. They're going to do what they see, not do what you say. So make sure that you're actually doing what it is that you want them to do as well. And so that's where it started for me, and it's going to expand out and helps me to show up with better energy in the ways that I actually want without all the stupid stuff, right? Like, don't give your energy to stupid stuff. It doesn't deserve it, and there is a better way. All right, hope you enjoyed this and feel challenged. If you enjoyed it, if you felt challenged, send it to a friend. Like, let's help more people close the circles, finish the loops, okay? So we can all show up with our best energy into the best areas and not waste our time on stupid stuff. Take care, my friends.
Thanks for joining the Chelsey Holm podcast journey. If you've enjoyed challenging the norm and embracing growth with a twist, share the love. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, keep defying expectations and keep leaning into who God made you to be.